Danny boy, what's good?
What's good, Vlad, man? I appreciate the moment, man. How you doing, brother?
Absolutely, longtime fan of your work.
I appreciate that, man, so much. I'm nervous as hell on the Monday, though, but I'm good.
All good. So let's start from the beginning. How did you actually hook up with Death Row?
I was with an independent company out of Chicago called Raw Dope, and they had artists such as Crucial Conflict that had a deal before me. One of my cousins is in that group, and another group by the name of Fuski. They were signing over at Interscope. So the guy that Shorty Capone, he was shopping us, put together a demo package. We went out to LA and started meeting with several different labels to land a deal.
Okay, so why did the Death Row deal make sense and some of the other ones didn't?
Man, I know. I was there to visit with Warner Brothers, Scotty Brothers, and some other label. I forgot the other name of the label. But while we were there meeting at Interscope, the guy Shorty was there meeting at Interscope. Suge walked in the door, and him and Shorty started talking, and he was like, I'm about to go lay this deal down over. He was just telling him about the deal, and he just looked at me. He was like, bust something, and I started singing. I think he kind of expected me to rap, and he was like, oh, for real? And then he kind of turned around. He turned around and walked out the door and went and got this little short white dude, and he brought him in. He said, sing that same song, sing that again. And I sang that, and he said, sing again, sing something else. And right then and there, he made an offer that was 300. Actually, he made an offer, and that deal ended up being, I think, about $325,000 deal. And the guy that he brought in the room was Jimmy Iovine. So we kind of thought at the time, Death Row. I mean, what was a bigger place at that time in the '90s? Death Row was pretty big.
Okay, so how old were you at the time that you signed that deal?
I was 15 years old, actually, about to turn 16.
Okay, so you were still a teenager.
Yeah, man.
And you now get a deal with Death Row Records. Now, at the time that you got your deal, did The Chronic, was that already out? Was Doggy Style still out? I mean, was Doggy Style out yet?
Yeah, Doggy Style was actually out, and they were on a promotional tour. That's how we hooked up with the guy, Kevin Black, which was one of the DJ promoters from back then for Interscope Death Row. He was here, and that's how I think they kind of hooked the deal up with the Fuski thing. So they were here promoting the Doggy Style record, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so I read something about Suge Knight actually adopted you as his son at some point.
Yeah, my mother passed when I was about 16 years old while I was out in Los Angeles. And, legally to work out in Los Angeles, to be there as a minor, you have to have a legal guardian. And the only person that was there at that time was my daughter mom. She was old enough, I guess. She was there, and Suge and I became close after Shorty Capone left me in California. And after my mom passed, he kind of really, a little bit before she passed, he took me under his wing. Like, he treated me as a son. And probably like about a couple months after her passing, he decided that he would, you like a son with me, you always with me. And my grandmother and my father and them they talked, and he did guardianship for me there in Los Angeles.
Okay. So what do you think really stood out during this time? Because you were there with Death Row at really their height.
Yes. Yes.
Like The Chronic came out and, it became the biggest thing ever. And then Doggy Style was the follow-up. And then, you're talking about that era where, Dog Food came out and the Murder Was a Case soundtrack and then Tupac and all that. Like, if you look at some of the things that really stand out during that era, what are some of the greatest stories?
The great stories that stand out, man, is how Suge gave the opportunity to so many young guys. It wasn't just me; I was just the youngest dude around. But to see Snoop Dogg evolve into such a superstar, to see Pac evolve into a superstar, and him to be really, I sat in a lot of meetings with Suge, and he treated me as a son. He trained me very well when it came to the business. I kind of and I watched them. I always watched them, and to watch the plans come together, to watch the beginning of before Pac got out of jail, and Pac eventually out of jail, and the record coming out, to just watch from the grassroots. I think all those things, the organic part of making those records, of seeing that machine work, that's probably the most thing that I can remember, man. Just to know all these legends are in one building recording these records, and I would have never known that it was gonna be as big, none of it, as it is today.
You know, there was the great times at death row, but then you also hear the stories about some of the violence that happened, like in the studios and everything else like that. How much of that did you actually witness?
I mean, you know, that was every now and then. That was every now and then. You know, there's no lie. There was some ass whooping going on. You know, but you know, it come with the game, man. Like this what it come with. Like it could be, you know, it don't always be the artist that get into it with people, or it don't always be the CEO that get to it with people. It's always other people around. When you get a bunch of people around each other, and you know, get to drinking and smoking and, you know, recording. Yeah, it's some ass whooping that went on for sure. Definitely.
Were you ever involved on the giving or receiving end of any of those?
I've never received the ass whooping. I haven't had an ass whooping since I was about 12, I think, and that was by my mother.
Okay.
Have I? Yeah, I've gotten into a couple altercations. Yeah, yeah, I have.
Were they with any people that we know about today?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. I would think so.
Good. Can you say who they are?
Nah, I wouldn't, because we're pretty cool now. You know, we have a great deal of respect for each other. So I don't want to put them out there, but
I understand that mindset because I like have that, like, because you don't believe in somebody so much, you just joke on them. Like, I'm gonna joke on you. I don't believe you. So I understand it, but you know, I want hip hop, period, like, to stop the shenanigans with that type of shit. Like, yo, motherfucker, rap, go rap.
My monthly overhead for my household and just household employees was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1 million a month I was spending.